Well, absolutely. I think that people are starting to have the conversation more than it was before. I will say, part of speaking to these kids, it really is to have that connection and build that vulnerability.
Mm.
And the kids respond in such a positive way. And I've had kids come up to me after crying. I've had kids come up to me who have said, I've tried to commit, suicide. And I've had kids that have just said thank you.
Mm.
And that response or that one person that comes up to me, I don't care if it's one or 1,000, a million, if that one person comes up to me and says, you saved my life, you changed my life, then I'm like, you know what? I did everything I wanted to do right
Mm.
there.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Neff Inspiration, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stephan Neff. Another fantastic day because I'm privileged and honored to have Carolyn Sophia Skowron with me. She's a mental health warrior and who's truly out there to change lives. Her mission is, in fact, to use her voice to give the voiceless hope. And how beautiful is that mission? Because there are so many out there who feel that they are just not right in the society, that they are constantly washed over with depression, anxiety, and other not so nice waves of neurochemicals and emotions and feelings and all those things that we normally want to run away from. But here is Carolyn, who is standing up and is on her mission to make this world a better place. So, Carolyn, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here. I truly have struggled a lot with mental health, and to be able to have the voice now is just a blessing.
So, the way you have framed it, it means really in the past you did not have a voice, or you felt you did not have it. How was life then?
Life was really rough. I lived a lot of my years trying to be someone I wasn't, trying to portray this image of what I thought society and my so-called friends at the time were, trying to impress them, and these were not my friends. These were not my people. But life was really hard. It was definitely not easy. And I kind of felt like I had a dark cloud over my head every single day that I woke up. And it was really depressing. It was really hard.
Mm. When did that start? Was there ever a
So,
time when you were a child that you remember being truly happy?
What's funny is a lot of my anxiety and just, childhood bullying is kind of what affected me a lot. When I was a kid, I truly had so much anxiety that I don't think I really let myself enjoy things, because I always was like, what if, the worst thing could happen? Or like, you're playing outside. I'm like, well, what if someone falls, something like that. And when I was in third grade, I was bullied so badly that they had a death threat. And so after that, it kind of was a little bit of a downfall for me, because I always worried about if the kids liked me or not. And I was so confused why that happened in the first place. So then to not have a reason for it, it was confusing, it was weird, and it really made me feel bad about myself. And that was the first time I truly started to feel bad about myself. So I wouldn't say I was necessarily happy up until then, but it was when I wasn't worrying about the anxiety and the do I fit in.
And it's so brutal, isn't it? Bullying is such a prevalent problem in society. It always has been. But in the past, I don't think we paid as much attention to it as the root cause of many behaviors later on that then really warp the life experiences and the way we show up in the world. What are the figures? I think something around 1/3 of pupils are bullied, isn't it? And so, I mean, you are not alone, but how do you deal with that?
I mean, that's a really crazy question, because it's like there's no right or wrong. It's about, well, there's no right or wrong in the sense of like, if I'm going to handle it by like going for a run, or if I'm going to go handle it by like going shopping, like, there's no right to that. But I will say that if you are bullied, it doesn't give you the okay to go out and be mean to other people. Because once you're bullied, you feel that feeling and you're like, what? I'm so confused. Like, you are confused why people are so mean to you. And, what happens a lot of the time is people say, okay, well, they want to get revenge. But I was definitely not like that at all. I just didn't want people to feel how I felt because I know how bad it feels.
And we know that hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
And I think there is so much of a flow-on effect there, and it is to break the cycle of violence and the cycle of treating others in a very disrespectful or openly brutal way is such a challenge. I know you're going out there nowadays to address schools. How do pupils react to you being so open about mental health? Do you feel that the tides have turned and that it is actually a good thing that people talk about mental health? Or do you still think that there are so many barriers there and so much chaos?
Well, absolutely. I think that people are starting to have the conversation more than it was before. I will say, part of speaking to these kids, it really is to have that connection and build that vulnerability. And the kids respond in such a positive way. And I've had kids come up to me after crying. I've had kids come up to me who have said, I've tried to commit, suicide. And I've had kids that have just said thank you. And that response, or that one person that comes up to me, I don't care if it's one or 1,000, a million, if that one person comes up to me and says, you saved my life, you changed my life, then I'm like, you know what? I did everything I wanted to do right there. And these kids are just so responsive of me being vulnerable. And it's crazy because for so long I couldn't be vulnerable. I wouldn't let myself. And now I feel like I'm helping these kids open up to more vulnerability conversations and, really kind of just show that it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to be nice to everybody. Being mean is not the answer.
So true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But it's not just being mean. I mean, bullying is one thing. It's a form of trauma that unfortunately happens often at a time when kids are most vulnerable in their development, in their emotional laying down of core beliefs. And often enough, parents don't know what to do and might even be dismissive and saying, come on, you need to be strong. You need to be. So what was your experience there with your parents when you told them about the bullying?
They were livid. They were not happy. They wanted, the girls who did bully me with the kill Carolyn sign, that was the death threat. But they only got their recess taken away or something. And my parents were very angry that there wasn't more of a step taken because my parents are very protective of me and they're the most amazing people ever. But they were just like, this is ridiculous. Why is my daughter, she's in 3rd grade.
Interesting. How did the school respond? I mean, you were saying that your parents were upset, but I mean, did you notice a clear change in behavior with the actions that the school took?
I think that would have been more middle school that was not taken care of at all. I truly think that they knew a lot was going on and a lot of the teachers were just over it. I was getting bullied in front of this one teacher and he didn't ever do anything. They used to call me Marvin the Martian because apparently I had frizzy hair, yellow teeth, and a giant nose. And I still to this day can hear them say that. But I've let it go because you have to, and you have to move on with life. But showing kids that, those were rough years, but I got through it. And, though there wasn't more precaution taken for the school, my parents definitely were, not happy when they found out their daughter was getting bullied and nothing was being done about it.
I think it is really very hard because there is so much out there where we talk about toxic work relationships, where we talk about sort of steps how to improve the work environments, and with that I extrapolate to the school environment as well. But often enough, these kind of nice posters and all inclusive, etc. It's here. It's just words. It's just no real actions taken, and you often don't see much of a change, meaningful change.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I think that's true.
I'm very sorry to hear that you had to go through this experience. And as one person with a big nose, come on, we should be proud of that, okay?
Hey, your nose is beautiful. Everyone is
Thank you.
beautiful. No one needs to change
Absolutely. And I agree. I absolutely agree. Because we are all unique, and we are all people in our own right. We all have warts and weird things on our body, every single one of us. So let's stop focusing on ideals. And I think that is getting so out of hand today, because with the amount of filters that you can put on social media, you can actually reduce your nose. You can get away of wrinkles, which maybe I should consider. The reality is that we are portraying even more false personas, false masks of ourselves. So I think that is getting worse. How can we then become more vulnerable and more honest? So is that not a huge discrepancy?
I mean, that is a huge thing. And honestly, for myself, social media definitely played a part in, my later days in high school when the apps were literally just coming out at that point. So it wasn't like it is today. But basically, like, I just had this feeling of just, I'm just not ever going to fit into this place. I'm just not ever going to have anyone who really understands. And honestly, it just, depression, anxiety, it started to build and build. And it probably was building since I was a kid and I didn't even realize it. But when you go to high school and you have like no friends, it's tough, it's hard. And I'm just kind of, showing people too that, if I can get through it, you can get through it.
And I think that is so important, to build up the resilience, because inevitably there will be times when you can't really count on others, and you had to experience that at an early stage. Now, I'm still a bit intrigued, because there are certain attributes, there are certain kind of behaviors, traits within us that make you you. And the same for every single other person in your class. There must have been so many other children or young adults who were feeling exactly the same way. If I get $1 for everyone on my show who is telling me that they didn't feel right, they felt out of place in high school, my goodness, that would be really nice. So we all are like that. Yet is there no acceptance, no knowledge, no emotional awareness amongst the children?
I think it also does come back to authenticity. No one is authentic anymore because people just want to be a false version of themselves. Or, these kids, more or less, I would say, in high school, those are your years where you're really kind of just like, regardless of whatever is happening in your life, you feel like inadequate because you're like, I don't fully belong here because I'm not who people think I am. And what if they knew who I really was? And for me, when I was in high school, at least at public high school, I truly just felt like I was just going through the motions and just trying not to like cry or, trying to make it through each day. When in reality, I wanted to die. When in reality, I was like, I don't really care what happens. I was not taking care of myself. And, that's really when a lot of my life started to go down the rabbit hole because, again, I was, not being myself. But I think if these kids can learn from me and be like, hey, maybe I should be authentic from the start. I shouldn't try to be someone I'm not. I should completely and fully be unapologetically me. And hey, that rhymed. I didn't even do that on purpose. But yeah, it just, I really do think that everything in society and changing the way that kids can feel about themselves starts with a conversation. And every kid should feel like they belong. No kid deserves to feel like they are too different to fit into the classroom. I mean, I just remember lunches, I literally would go to the bathroom and cry. I didn't have people to sit with. And now I look back and I'm like, if I could just give that 16-year-old Carol advice, I would be like, you know what? You're going to make it through this. And honestly, why don't you go to the guidance office? They'll eat with you.
Very true.
That was definitely a lot of it.
Very true. And of course, at that stage, you don't have the guts to actually go over to another child that is sitting alone, another young adult who is sitting alone and who is clearly not comfortable. And I guess there is this lack of awareness. You just think that no one else could possibly feel as bad as you. And
you're like, no one else feels as bad as I feel about myself. But in reality, that's completely
exactly
untrue.
Well, it's probably 80-90% of the people around you are feeling like that, including the bullies, including the really cool kids. For crying out loud. It just hurts to hear those kind of stories. It's intriguing because when I went to school a few months ago, now is in Germany, we didn't have so many cliques. We didn't have so much rubbish. You were just trying to get through school. I maybe I was very blessed in that regard. I was bullied, but this was the odd times here or there, but ultimately I can't remember any active bullying actually going on in a systemic fashion. Whilst here with you, you actually described it as something systemic happening to you. Do I get a wrong impression here, or is that really, do you still feel it?
You're completely right. I'm very happy that you didn't have to go through that. And that's the thing. I don't want other kids to have to go through that. I want people to understand that inclusion is what we need to do. Everyone should be accepted. No one is the same person. If everyone was the same person, we would be living in such a boring world. We need to embrace the differences and not have a clique because of it. Like if you're a football player and you want to do the musical, go do the musical. Like, it's just like, it's little things like that. Just like, you're altering yourself because of what you think people are going to think of you and your perception. Exactly. And it's like, what is really what you want,
Coming back to your parents, often enough, it is hard for parents to watch their child being bullied. But at the same token, often we as parents nowadays can actually model behavior that might actually instill resilience, that might allow our children to open up and live an authentic life. Now, I have only now developed the skills and the emotional awareness and all that to actually say that. I would have loved to have all that emotional knowledge when my children were young. So I failed as a dad to instill that.
No, you did not fail. You seem like an incredible dad.
I am now. I was a different man. So how were your parents? Did they model openness?
Oh my gosh. My parents I could not say enough good. Like, people say, oh, my family's the best, but like literally like my mom, the most selfless, the funniest, the most beautiful, caring, just like charismatic. Like she carries herself so well. Like my dad, he worked so hard too. He everything he's done on his own. His dad died when he was 5 and he always wanted to give my sister and I the life that he never had. And, just the resilience he's gone through and all of that, they are the kindest people you will ever meet. And, it's funny, when I was a kid, I used to say, I was like, my parents are not cool. Like, I don't want them around us. And now like all my best friends are like, your parents are so cool. I was like, yeah, they are.
Okay. But it's one thing to see that your dad, for example, has gone through trauma himself, that there was abandonment issues, there were a lot of things happening there. And of course, he now wants to shower you with...
Well, not abandonment issues. His dad passed away when he was 5. So it's a little different.
Oh, it still means, okay, fair call. You're clearly advocating for them, which is lovely. I love to hear that.
I love it so much.
Having said that, trying to give everything to your children often means that they work very, very long hours and maybe cannot spend the time with you. It means that they have to be strong for you, and showing strength does not automatically allow you to show vulnerability, especially not in the generation before you. So I guess I'm asking for that. How much did your dad show vulnerability and authenticity?
Oh my gosh. So much,
Beautiful.
when he's worked so hard since like I was a kid. And, I said to him recently, I was like, cause he was like on a call or something, he got off it. And I was like, wait, Dad, how did you not miss anything of mine as a kid? You're working, like you're on calls all the time. Like, how did you make it to all my recitals, all my musicals? Like you were there for everything. I was like, how? Super dad, I guess.
What was his answer?
He was just like, honestly, like, I don't even think he could answer it because he's just like, I want to be there for my kids. I want to be there for my family, like my mom and dad are just people that have shown me from a young age number one, what true love is and how to treat people, but also just the way that they, go through life is really kind of admirable to watch because it inspires me every day, the way that they just carry things with so much grace. And, and my sister too, oh my gosh, she her birthday's actually tomorrow. She's turning 30. Shout out Jordan. But she literally has been such a huge part of my life in ways that she doesn't even know. Because again, she's shown me authenticity. She's shown me resilience. And she really is the one who helped me kind of change my life and really kind of figure out what life I wanted for myself.
When did this transformation happen? When did you start getting an inkling from being in the wrong body, in the wrong mind, in the wrong place, trying to just hide from life towards actually, what was that like?
So, I kind of realized a lot of the reason that I am how I am is because midway through sophomore year of high school, I found out that I had a learning disability, which is called nonverbal. And I guess it was more new or whatever. I really didn't know too much about it, but all I did know was I wasn't doing well on the standardized test. The test, oh my gosh, I can speak sometimes. I wasn't doing really amazing on those. And so with that said, I kind of had to do something quick. And boarding school was what we looked to. And it was not an easy decision at all. But it was helping kids with learning disabilities like mine and, ADHD, ADD, they really kind of were one-on-one. And, when I first found out I had it, I was beside myself. But once I realized that I am the way I am, partly because of it, because one of the things about it is you're highly verbal. You are super communicative. You love to be creative, all that stuff. Like I love to write music. Like I love to be creative. You just are not good in school. And I was not good in school. But I think that that's okay because school was not my time to thrive. Life is my time. And that's the beauty of it.
Oh, beautifully said. Wow. Okay. And this is beautiful because here we are. We never know what is around the corner. We try to think of a cookie cutter principle, how to be healthy and us and how to live in a joyful life. And in reality, it is not so easy. And you have to go through often periods of darkness to appreciate the light and to actually be guided towards a new version of you that you didn't think is waiting for you. Wow.
Yeah, I never would have thought. I never would have thought I'd be, here and well and 27 and, and you said really kind of when did it really change for you? all of it all changed in 2020 when I got into life-threatening car accident, because after that, and after grabbing my seatbelt seconds before the crash, I realized that I could have died. I could die at any moment, and I got to take life seriously. And I'm a Christian, and I thought it was God giving me my second chance at life, and I wasn't going to waste that.
Oh, how beautiful is that?
Yes.
How much does faith play a role in your earlier life?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I would go to church as a kid. We would go to Sunday school. My sister and I, she actually met her husband from church. So, you know, worked out for her. But I have been going, you know, since I was a kid. And then when I got older and got to college, you know, that's usually when a lot of people stray away, which is what happened to me. But I also went down a very bad, depressive, like just not good place when I wasn't putting my faith first, when I wasn't actually thinking like, oh, maybe there is something more here. Maybe I shouldn't say, you know, like I told my family, I was like, I don't even know. I'm done. I'm an atheist, you know, all this stuff. And it broke their heart because, you know, we have that bond of faith. That was a huge part of like why my family's so close. And I just needed to go through those things to realize that like faith is what kept me alive. Faith is what brought me here. And, you know, faith is everything. And my sister really taught me that too. You got to trust God. You got to trust in something. You know, I never, ever force my beliefs on anyone. I just say, this is what happened for me. This is how I found healing. If it works for you and you want to try it, that's wonderful. But this is just how I did it.
Beautiful. And every person will have his and her unique journey. We can never put our own experiences onto someone else. We can offer some insight and say, look, this is what worked for me. This is maybe something you could consider. But ultimately, it is so important that we outline the many different ways how you can heal, and to realize that for you to be in a dark place, like in depression, that there are often many contributing factors, many contributing things that come together to create the perfect storm for you to feel the way you feel. May I ask, how was your nutrition when you were a youngster?
Oh gosh, I love sugar. I still love sugar. I I have a problem with sugar. I love the Mexican Coke though, not the other one because it's made with real sugar. So I'm like, it's a little bit healthier, so it counts. But yeah, I always have been a sugar fiend since I was a kid. Oh my gosh, my mom would be like, I tried to always like sneak cookies and stuff, like ever since day one.
Mm-hmm. And the problem there, of course, is that many a times that nutrition, where maybe there are some deficiencies there, where maybe you don't get the vitamin D, you don't get the zinc, the magnesium, and all the proteins, then it makes it hard for your gut bacteria to create a serotonin to help you with your mood. With hindsight, have you got a feeling that might have contributed to your situation?
You know, I haven't really thought about that, but I guess it could have been. But I also don't know because I was eating salmon at like 10 years old, you know? So my mom is a really great cook, and she
lovely.
has always been an amazing cook. We call her Betty Crocker because
Okay.
she just like is so good, like best chocolate chip cookies ever. And she just, oh, she's the best. And I just like, she really kind of just is, I just like can't say enough.
Beautiful, beautiful. And oh God, I feel the love emanating from you towards your parents, and that's so beautiful to see. My goodness. So a shout out to your parents. I think they have done a bloody good job there. That's wonderful. Oh, so Carolyn, so here you are trying to make this world a better place. You actually wrote a book, did you not?
Yes,
Tell us a bit about that.
So after the car accident back in 2020, I realized it was a huge blessing that I was alive. But then I also realized that my freshman year of college, I did almost try to take my life. My best friend in the entire world just called it at the right moment. I realized that 2 was like the number coming to my brain. I was just thinking of like the number 2. It's like, why am I thinking of this? And then I realized I was like, oh, I've faced death almost twice, not once by choice, and once just praying that I'd make it out of there alive. And I knew that was not a coincidence. And I always had been shy and never used my voice. But I realized, I was like, I am in such a good place mentally. I want to help as many people as possible because I used to be there, but I have the blessing of being alive. And that's how Unbreakable came to be.
No, very nice.
Yeah.
Unbreakable. And where can we buy Unbreakable?
Unbreakable, you can get it on my website, which is just carolynsophia.com, or you can get it on Amazon. And if you type in Unbreakable, sometimes wine glasses come up. So type in Carolyn Sophia. I don't know why. But yeah, I love this book. It was such a healing thing for me. And I really kind of learned a lot about myself doing it. And it just, I surprised myself. You know, you saw, I was bullied from a kid, but I just was like, I'm proving everyone wrong. I'm proving myself wrong. I'm going to do this, you know, and I'm going to help those kids that, you know, are going through it right now because I get it. I know exactly the feeling that they're feeling.
Wow. Carolyn, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for going out there and trying to make this world a better place by actually starting at the younger spectrum when children are needing it most. It is much easier to create resilient kids than to repair broken adults. So here you are. Thank you so much for doing that. And it's wonderful to see that. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for being a great guest on my show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is truly an honor. I'm very excited I got to go on your show.
Hey, thank you very much. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with intention. Bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.